Hey, grade fives, welcome to Maths for Monday, 18th of May. Today we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting fractions. So we did a little bit of this on Thursday last week. We're going to do a little bit more practice, and I'm going to show you a couple of strategies that you can use to help you add and subtract fractions. What we're looking for from you is adding and subtracting fractions that have the same denominator. But if you're finding that quite easy, which a few of you are, I'm going to suggest, and I'll suggest this again later, that you have a look at the Challenge Me video on Google Classroom after you've had a go at the activity and take this activity a little bit further. All right, let's get into it. So, adding and subtracting fractions. Starting off with our APK. What I want you to do is in your maths books, I want you to draw 3 number lines that go from 0 to 5. And then what I want you to show is your understanding of counting by fractions. And we're going to go up past 1. So we know fractions can go beyond 1. We can record them as mixed numbers, which you can see here, 1.5, or improper fractions. 3/2 means the same thing. So either way, I don't mind how you record it. I just want you to show counting by fractions. So on the first number line, counting by halves all the way to 5, showing that in your book. Then on the next number line, counting by thirds. Then on the next one, counting by quarters. This is going to come in handy when we're adding. So pause now and have a go at that before you move on. All right, thank you for having a go at that activity. Let's have a look at what we're doing today. So like I said before, we are learning to add and subtract fractions with the same denominator. That's our learning intention. You're going to represent fractions that are bigger than 1 as improper fractions or mixed numbers, and you guys have already done that in the APK. You've already done it today. You're going to do it again, but you've already done it today. And you're going to add and subtract fractions that have the same denominator. We're going to work with proper fractions, which are fractions between 0 and 1, smaller than 1 whole. We're going to also work with the improper fractions or mixed numbers that fractions that also include a whole number in them, so they go bigger than 1 whole. So what does that look like? Well, like we said before, when a fraction's larger than 1 whole, we can represent it in 2 different ways. So we can, and it means the same thing. So we can show it as an improper fraction. So that just means it looks like other fractions that we normally deal with. However, the numerator, which is this number on top, is bigger than the denominator, which is the number on the bottom. So you'll notice 11 is a bigger number than 4. We still call this 11 quarters. And that is an improper fraction. That is a way we can represent. I know improper sounds like it's a negative. It's just what we call it though. We can represent it as that. The way with that we'd probably see it more often though is as a mixed number. So a mixed number. So that just means we've put the whole number. So the fractions that add up to a whole, we've turned into whole numbers, and then whatever's left over. So for example, these 2 fractions here mean the same thing. So 11 quarters, we know that 4 quarters is 1, and then another 4 quarters is 2. So we've used 8 quarters, and that is 2, which we've got here. And then what we've got left over, 11 take away 8 is 3. So we've got 3 quarters left. So we write it as 2 and 3 quarters. Simple as that. It's just a way of representing it, of making it have the whole number in it. But like I said, when you do your adding and subtracting today, I don't mind if you represent as improper or mixed. It would be really cool if you could show your knowledge by actually representing it as both. So you're going to have to answer a question a few different ways. You might want to try and answer it using improper and mixed. That's really going to show your knowledge. All right. Let's continue. So let's have a look at a strategy we can use. Now, like with any math lesson, if you have a strategy that you know works, go for it. But I'm just going to show you a way I might do it. You might have a better way than me. Show me. So let's have a look at adding fractions first. I like to use a number line. So I'm going to draw, whoa, that's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. That was huge. Let's have a look at this. All right, I've got a number line here. Does a number line have to start at 0? Nah. This is kind of like the jump strategy we use with whole numbers, but we're going to use it with fractions. So if I can start from either 13/5 or 8/5. Both of those numbers are bigger than 1, so I'm going to put my whole numbers in first. So I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be 0, that spot. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Now I don't have a lot of room here, and I'm not very subtle with my fingers on this number line, so we'll see how we go. If we're counting by fifths, we need to cut each of these sections into fifths. So that means, as you can see, I've drawn 4 lines because that creates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little sections. That's what represents the fraction, the sections, not the lines. So if we start from our first number, I'm going to find 13/5, so I can go 1/5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13/5 is here. Might do that in a different color so we can see. And I know our number line should continue, but I'm just going to continue it down here. 3. So that's still 3. 3, 4. So that's going to be 4. I just realized I was going to run out of room. So once we've got 13/5, we can then use our sections that we've drawn on to add on the 8/5. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fifths is there. So we can see that it's 4 and 1/5. That's one way of doing that, using a number line. Another way you could do it, and the number line shows that you understand what's actually happening with the numbers. Oops. I'm going to have to wipe that as quick as I can. All right, we can have a look at this. Secret. It's not a secret, but let's reveal it now. If these two numbers are... Why does that happen every time? All right, if these two numbers, our denominators, are the same, you can just ignore them and add them back at the end. Who can tell me what 13 plus 8 is? Yeah, 21. And then we just put it back. It's 21/5. It's as simple as that if the denominator is the same. So you can use a number line to show you understand what you're doing. Once you've done it with at least one number line, you can do it just like I showed you there. Now, subtracting really quickly, exactly the same. So if we were going to use a number line, we would start at this end, which is 3 and 2/7. And then I'm going to count by sevenths backwards. So 3 and 1/7, 3, 2 and 6/7, 2 and 5/7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 and 4/7. So same thing, I've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/7 backwards. Now, again, we can use a number line to really show we know what the numbers. All right, so I'm just going to wipe what I've circled there. Ignore that. That was a mistake I made. So when you're subtracting, you can use a number line, or if you turn this into an improper fraction, which we can do by multiplying, always goes wide, multiplying that by that, because each time we got 7/7, it became 1, so 3 sevens are 21, and then add that 2 to it is 23/7, take away 5/7, and we can do exactly what we did before and ignore these. 23 take away 5 is 18/7. And you'll find those two answers I found are exactly the same. So go back and have a watch of that again if you're unsure, or jump onto the help me video that I've put onto Classroom Let's have a look at your task today. Now, if you're still a bit confused, please go onto Google Classroom and have a look at the Help Me video, because I'm going to go into a bit more. I'll explain that a little bit more. That's going to help you with the activity. Something will spring in your mind. You go, ah. So your question today is, I want you to find at least 5 different answers or responses to these 3 questions. So there's a bit of addition, a bit of subtraction. Remember, you need to show your thinking in your maths book and the strategies you're using, and you're going to need to show and explain one strategy you used in your reflection today. So the first question is, find 2 fractions that add up to 1. So 1 whole. 2 fractions that add up to 1 whole. Find 5 different answers to that. The next one is find 2 fractions that add up to 3. So now we're jumping up into some mixed numbers or improper fractions, fractions bigger than 1 whole. And then our subtraction question is to find 2 fractions that equal 1 when they're subtracted from each other. So something minus something, both fractions, equals 1 whole. I want to see 5 of those as well. So you're going to have 15 different responses today, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not once you find a pattern here. All right, and then your reflection is, I want you to, and this is going to be a reflection all week, because I want you to get really great at explaining your thinking, especially when we're working remotely. I want you to explain how you found the answer to one of your responses. So show what you did in your book, explain why it works. You can draw, you can record your voice, you can annotate your work to show what you've done. Pretend you're up the front of the class explaining to everybody your thinking for that answer. All right, that's enough from me. Check out the Help Me if you're a bit confused still. Go to the Challenge Me if this seems too easy. Enjoy.